Alright, hello, welcome to today's how-to video. Today we're going to be covering kind of what I think is a very simple technique to get better basing results when you're dealing with snow or sand. Traditionally, when you're using basing materials, use various types of grit to get yourself a kind of a rocky or sandy looking base. But I find that the grit often is a little bit too big. When you look at it, it just looks like it's a gravel field. So taking this approach, we instead use baking soda. It's actually very easy to do. Matter of fact, if you have baking soda in the house, just regular, generic baking soda works just fine. I would suggest that you don't use brand new. You don't need to. Why waste it? Go ahead and you might have stuff that's been sitting in your fridge for a while, whether it's there to, absorb odors or whether it's there to, for baking needs. Just go ahead and use that. Once it gets old, it's still going to have the same texture, and that's what we're going to need. So this is actually a little simpler. I'll go ahead and show you at the end the difference between what it looks like with regular grit and what it looks like with this technique. So what I'm going to do is we're going to have two models, one for my 8th Army, one for Frostgrave. So I'm going to go ahead and paint this base as if it were snow, and I'll paint this one as if it were sand. We're going to use the same technique on both. So very simply, all you need really is super glue. Any brand will do. And if you feel like you can actually use a latex medium, sorry, not a medium, but a latex paste if you want to give a little more contour to the ground, or you can use PVA if you feel like it. We're going to use super glue because it's a lot quicker. All right, so very, very simple. Now, what I've done to kind of make it even easier is I have placed my baking soda in, good old used medicine jars. That way, it's easy to I can keep it small amount at my workbench. You don't need a lot of this, and you can always go back and refill it. So the very first step, of course, is just applying the super glue, and you're going to want to use it. Give a generous amount and spread it all around the base. If you've got like a Zap-A-Gap type of base, CA, you'll be able to. It's a little thicker, and it'll stick around a little longer. Okay, so I'm going to do one base at a time. Take the cap of the medicine bottle, pour some of the baking soda in there, and just swish it around in. That's all there is to it. And then happen to have a little bit of debris in there. Looks like a piece of ground foam. I don't know where that one came from. Okay. So, now there it is. Nice even coat. Leave that sit for a bit. We'll do the same for the Frostgrave model. But here we're going to go take a little extra step, because one of the things that's not every base you want to be evenly sand or snow. You want it to be have some details on it, especially in desert and snowscapes. It's nice to have a couple rocks. So, with that in mind, I've got a few rocks right here. And it's just, you can get these rocks at a model railroad shop. See, let's focus in there real well there. There you go. Okay, and you just simply take with your finger, just drop them on. You can move them around if you want, if they're not quite in the right place. I want a few more, so set them back. Okay, so there we go. Now, because they're super glued on, those will dry. That didn't get on the glue itself. There we go. That'll stay and put. Now, I need to put some more on the back. It didn't seem like that I actually got much there. So, boom. Okay. And again, while it's still wet, with the rocks on, just put it into the base, swish it around, and just leave it be. So we're going to leave those for a few minutes, and we'll come back, we'll take a look at what they look like. Alright, it's been about 10-15 minutes or so. Now the next step is to brush off the excess baking soda into. I go ahead and I put it right back into a little pot. Just gently brush it off. I brush a little too big. I'll use this one. And when you're brushing out, almost all the white's going to go away. It's going to basically look dark gray. You're not going to see it. Now what happens is the baking soda and the super glue react, and you end up with a very, very hard, grainy substance. So it'll be hard to see in this, but when we pan it up, you'll see. And so there's some of the rocks are still there. Now I'll go ahead and do ham. Alright. Now they're ready to be painted. Okay, so let me go ahead and I'll paint these real quick to show you the bases. That way they'll stand out. You'll be able to see the details hopefully a little better. And we'll compare them to regular sand and gravel grit. Okay, be back in a sec. Alright, so here we go. The bases are painted. Now let's kind of take a closer look at the bases. So let's move this in as close as we can and see if we can't get good close up and see the textures. There we go. Let's look at the sand one as an example. Now you can see the texture a lot better than with the white. Obviously the white balance, throwing things off. So that's what the sand base looks like with using baking soda. And obviously this is white. There you can kind of see some of the same details. There we go. So that's what it looks like. Now compare this to what most people use for basing, which is usually sand. So there's the sand. That's actual sand, and that's the baking soda approach. So you can see the dramatic difference, and it goes without saying that using some of these larger, even larger, coarse rocks, gravel, just are that much bigger. These are all typical basing materials, but the baking soda really looks more like sand. And of course, by adding rocks in, supergluing the rocks along with it, you can actually add additional textures, coarser stones, rocks, and even larger boulders or bricks in your landscaping. So hopefully this gives you an idea of how you can approach basing for sandy or Arctic conditions. So thanks for sticking with me, guys. Hope this was enlightening for you and it's helpful. Do me a favor, click the notification bell if you want to know more about videos that are coming out. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.